Now let's get into it. Let's just take a moment to sit back, relax, and hold space for all that we've accomplished despite our failures. If you're anything like me, then occasionally, maybe sometimes always, you may have difficulty acknowledging and sitting in the comfort of everything that you've accomplished because your mind is constantly thinking about the things that you didn't accomplish. And I want you to ask yourself, why do you feel like it's not enough? That you haven't done enough? I constantly see this quote kind of circulating on social media, and it talks about you're living in at least one of your answered prayers right now in this moment. And every time I see that, I have to sit back and think about the things that I have hoped, wished, and prayed to God for. And I, for a fact, am sitting in more than one of my answered prayers. But then sometimes I get into a space where I'm just dissatisfied with where my life is in this present moment. So again, why do you feel like the things that you do or that you've done are simply not enough? I've been vocal about it before that I'm constantly looking for the next win, looking for the next achievement, looking for the next accomplishment, the next reward. And that's a me problem, right? And it's unfortunate. Cindy Cancerian, one of my favorite YouTubers, period. Shout out to cancers out there everywhere. Astrology is real in my eyes. You don't have to believe. But Cindy Cancerian says, let go of, let go of the need for accomplishments, like attaching to your self-worth, essentially is what she says. You don't have to attach your accomplishments to your self-worth. Like, you are not worthy because of the things that you've accomplished. You're just worthy. You're worthy of everything. You're worthy of this life. You're worthy of everything that you have and everything that you're going to get despite your accomplishments. But again, sometimes I need constant reminders that I am worthy of everything I have despite my accomplishments. When I was younger, my siblings called me the golden child. I think I said this before. But I felt like, and maybe this is like middle child complex, middle child syndrome, feeling forgotten, because I always felt like my siblings were doing the wildest and the craziest things that I sometimes sat back in the shadow unless I was accomplishing something, whether it was good grades or, I tried to participate in every extracurricular activity that I could. And while I enjoyed these things and I genuinely wanted to participate in these things, I also wanted to excel in them because I didn't just want to feel worthy within my home. I wanted to feel worthy out in the world as well. When I was in, 10th grade, and I was working on a musical Annie at school, right? And I remember we were going over, we were running the show. So you sit down, you have a table read, everybody reads through their lines. Then there's like a portion where we go through all the songs for the musical, and then we actually run the show. So we're going through the lines, the music numbers, like everything at once, like we're on stage. And so we're sitting backstage. And as the leads, because I wasn't a lead in the musical, as the leads are on stage, saying their lines, going through their songs, whatever, and I'm waiting backstage, one was my friend and the other was just, a fellow classmate and was on the show with me. They're both like, why are you a theater whore? And what they meant, it wasn't anything offensive, but they called me a theater whore because they're like, you literally know everybody's lines, the songs, the words to every song. Like, why are you doing this? And my response was, in case one of them can't fill in, we already got somebody that can step up, period. They get sick. They fell out because you had to have a certain GPA to be able to participate in these musicals and these plays. If anybody has to step out for any moment and it's close to showtime, we don't have to worry about somebody else stepping in and like trying to figure out their lines or memorize their lines or, having to restructure the whole show when you could just put me in their place, right? Because, hello, overachiever, I already know everything. I'm good to go. And it was all fun and games back then, but now as an adult, as I sit back and I think about it, why did I feel the need to be the one? Like, yeah, as soon as if they're not the one, then I'm going to be the one. Like, I can be the one, which may or may not seem like a terrible quality to have, but it wasn't so rooted in, I can save the show. It was, I know that I will be the best for this role, but I didn't get it. So I have to prove myself when and if the time comes. And if I already know everything, then they'll be so impressed. They will have no other choice but to give me the role that they didn't give me before. You know what I mean? So, yeah, that sort of thing. And, we have to ask ourselves, why don't we feel like we're enough? A lot of times we cheer so loud for others, yet we can barely celebrate our own wins. Why? Why is that? Couldn't being in the musical be just enough to celebrate? Couldn't just being a part of the production, making it through the audition phase, no matter what the role was, should have just been enough? But it wasn't. Because Annie and Daddy Warbucks and all the main cast members, I'm not going to go through the thing. We've probably all seen Annie. All the girls at the orphanage, those were main characters, and I was not. And I was proud of them. I was happy for them. But I was disappointed in me, because what is it that I didn't do well enough to get one of those roles? It's really, it's an unfortunate space to be in. And the older I get and the more I grow, the more I realize that I'm always exactly where I need to be, always doing exactly what it is I need to be doing. And that wasn't my time. And those roles weren't for me. And that was okay, because I had lead roles that were for me. People acknowledged my theatrical genius on many occasions. My old theater teacher used to tell me, because one time I was so upset, I felt like she was really hard on me. And she said, if I tell you everything you're doing right, then you'll never get better. She was like, so I'll only tell you when you mess up so you can fix that, but everything else is great. And I appreciate her for acknowledging that mostly everything I did was great in the realm of theater and drama. But I would be a liar if I didn't admit that her criticisms really took a toll on my confidence as an actor. And I just wish that she went about it a different way, But that was then, and this is now. When I want to double back to my siblings calling me the golden child, as I remember, I was always so excited to let my parents know when my grades were good, which in most cases, my grades were always good. And at my high school, the first high school I went to, we got progress reports. I think each, 6 weeks? They went like the semesters went in 6-week increments or something. And so every third week we would get a progress report. And I'm just so happy because, again, I need that acknowledgement from them that I'm doing amazing, so I can really feel like I'm doing amazing, as if the numbers on the page wasn't enough. Because we didn't do letter grades, we did number grades. So the numbers on the pages weren't enough validation for what I was doing. I had to show my parents, and I came in and I'm like, oh yeah, I'm about to show them my progress reports. And I remember at the time, our parents weren't home. So I'm like, oh, I can't wait till they get here. I'm going to show them my progress report. And my siblings are like, have you lost your motherfucking mind? If you show them your progress report, they're going to know we got our progress report. And then we're going to have to show them that our grades ain't so good. Miss Perfect. And so I didn't show them my progress report because I didn't want my siblings to be upset. You know, and it wasn't even like, oh, like I'm scared if my siblings are upset with me. Like, we ride together, we die together, bad boys for life. So we never spoke about that progress report, and they never asked for it. But a part of me internally was hurting because I never got that validation for those good grades. And sure, when the actual report card comes out 3 weeks later down the line, they're going to want to see that. They're going to be looking for that from all of us. So I'll get the validation then. But for whatever reason, I needed it in that moment. And I didn't get it. So that was a difficult pill to swallow. And as I progressed through life, through many challenging circumstances, many things I've already spoken about, many things I'm just not in a space to speak on yet. But as life went on, when I didn't get the validation I needed, when I didn't get the rewards or the alkaloids, or whenever I faced a challenging and difficult situation, the older I got, the more I felt like I had to internalize those emotions. If we don't know nothing else about me, we know that I'm the queen of detachment. And I learned to not just detach from people, places, and things, but I learned to detach from my emotions. So I started therapy or counseling a few weeks ago. It's been a long time coming. It's mostly focusing on grief as I try to navigate through my emotions of losing my dad. But on day one, my very first interaction with her, she noticed that I internalized a lot of emotions. She read it all on my face, even as we're discussing it. And I'm like, okay, just give me a second. Like, I'm trying to pull it together and, like fanning my eyes and like trying not to cry. And she's like, it's okay. This is a safe space. You can feel those emotions, whatever they are. And I tried. I did. I tried to release some of the emotions and feel them and kind of like lift that burden off of my shoulders. But I know that I was still holding back. And I know that she knows that I was still holding back. So again, the question comes up, why do I feel the need to internalize all these deep emotions? And honestly, I know the answer. I grew up in an environment where weakness was not an option. Not only was weakness not an option in the eyes of my parents, I feel, but in the eyes of my siblings and in the eyes of my peers. The minute you show a little bit of weakness is when people start to take advantage. That's the environment. that I was introduced to. So I internalize those feelings. Okay, I'm sad because nobody acknowledged my achievement, but that's okay. I'm just going to hold it in, and then I'll have to be bigger and better next time. So that way they have no way not to acknowledge my achievements. Oh, I'm upset because of something someone said or something someone did to me. But if I show them that I'm upset, then they're going to think I'm weak. Not just weak, they're going to think I'm a punk. And one thing my mama didn't do was raise no punk, right? And so I had to take the time to know myself deeper. I had to take the time to do the hard work, to dig deep within my shadows, to figure out where a lot of these things stem from, right? We know I've been on my self-love journey, and this journey is kind of like a never-ending path, much like our healing journey. They coincide together. The paths are linear, right? So as I'm walking down these paths of self-love and forgiveness and of healing, I had to learn to hold space. I had to learn to hold space for myself and my emotions. And holding space is essentially showing up for someone, being fully present and without judgment as you sit with the person through a difficult time. It's the practice of making space for somebody else's experience. And I'm usually, we'll get into it more later, but I'm usually really good at holding space for other people and not so good at holding space for myself. You know, it's a conscious act of being present, of being open, and allowing the feelings and emotions to be present in that moment. You see, the solution isn't always to feel better, but to be better at feeling. And what I believe is true for a lot of us in today's society is that we have a difficult time feeling our emotions, honestly and truly. And I've said on multiple occasions, feel those emotions, feel them deeply, and then move on. And now I'm getting to a space on wondering, am I moving on too fast? Am I fully feeling them in their entirety? Like for the entire duration, I should say. So what I'm realizing, something that I do is I'll feel the emotions in that moment when I'm feeling them, when I'm alone, when I feel like I'm in a safe space, and I will feel them deeply, intensely, whether it's crying, screaming, journaling, or doing whatever it is I need to do in that moment to be present with my emotions. I decompress, and then it's time to move on, because I don't want to be down for too long. I struggle heavily with vulnerability, and that's why I need to be alone when I feel these emotions deeply, and it's very rare that I allow others in those moments of deep emotion, which is another thing that I'm working through with my therapist. And actually, my sister told me once, she's like, if you cry and people are around, who fucking cares? Like, if you need to let it out, let it out. But I'm not there. I guess it's an easy way to say I'm not there yet to where I can be vulnerable in front of strangers. Hell, I can't even be vulnerable in some cases in front of people who are close to me. About a month or so ago, I remember getting a text, or actually a voice memo from my sister about how my mom wasn't doing well and she was actually in the hospital. And I was sitting in my jump seat, and I mean only seconds away from takeoff. And I'm fighting with every fiber of my being to hold back the tears, because not only am I sitting in a jump seat with a coworker, I'm sitting in the front of the aircraft facing a cabin full of 100+ strangers, 100+ passengers, and I need to hold it together. And it wasn't until 5 hours later, when the flight was over and we had deplaned, taken the shuttle to the hotel, and I locked that door, that I really felt those emotions that I needed to feel 5+ hours ago, right? And no, I'm not saying that the alternative should have been me breaking down in front of the cabin when I have a job to do. But just yet another example when I had all right to be emotional, and I played like it was okay, that everything was fine, that nothing was bothering me, that it wasn't that big of a deal. And then when I got in my room, in my safe space, I felt those emotions deeply. Then I went to bed. And when I got up the next morning, it was time to soldier up, because I felt like my mom needed me to be strong for her. And I didn't want my siblings or anybody on the flight to, go see my mom in the hospital, my siblings. I didn't want them to see me in a state of distress, because would that make matters worse? I doubt it would have made it better. So again, it was time to soldier up, and I felt those emotions deeply, and I didn't allow myself to feel it for the duration of what I needed. I was not holding space for my feelings. And it's like, if, the saying, you can't love someone until you love yourself. Yeah, that. But like, if you can't be with yourself in your sadness, how can you be with someone else in their sadness? And, well, I guess I can be with myself in my sadness. I just can't be around other people in my sadness. So, oh my goodness, maybe that's not quite my issue. But I do feel that it's true for somebody out there. Somebody who's listening to this, you need to be with yourself in your sadness first and foremost. You need to know that it's okay to feel sad or mad or angry or disappointed, and it's okay to sit with that and feel those emotions deeply for the entire duration of what you need to feel it for. Don't rush your emotions, right? The solution isn't always feeling better. That's not always the solution. We must accept that our feelings are natural, that our feelings are real, that our feelings are valid. And we're allowed to feel whatever emotion it is that we want to feel and not feel bad about it. in whatever space that we're in. Give yourself permission to move through your feelings of difficult emotions safely. It's safe for you to feel whatever it is you're feeling in this moment or in any moment. You have valid reason to feel whatever it is, whether it's disappointment, heartache. Give yourself grace first. That same grace that you extend to other people when you feel you've been wronged, give that grace to yourself because you deserve it. It isn't something you have to earn. Sit with your thoughts. And if you're having difficulty sitting with your thoughts, well, baby, I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but at that point we have a bigger issue on our hands. I've seen people say, they don't like to be alone. They're not okay enjoying their own company. They always have to be around other people at almost every waking moment. It's time for us to find the root of that issue so that you're comfortable sitting alone with your thoughts and emotions. And it's gonna hurt. Oh yeah, it's gonna hurt. But that's all a part of the healing process. Nothing about it is pretty. But who you are when you come out on the other side of that is the real beauty. And remember not to rush the process. Don't be like me. Don't rush the process. Okay? But your girl's getting better at it. We're not rushing the process. Right? This is the practice of making space. This is the practice of showing up for yourself and being fully present without judgment. No one's judging you. And even if they are, who cares? You're not judging you, or you shouldn't be judging you. Just take a deep breath and acknowledge the feelings behind those emotions. That's another little tidbit my therapist taught me in the first session, y'all. This has really been beneficial for me. Like this is really great. She told me not to focus on forgiving someone for what I feel they've done, but to acknowledge the impact that their actions has taken on me. It's something as simple as acknowledging that impact and the emotions that arose from that impact will be so much beneficial for you versus focusing on how you can solve the problem. Focusing on how you can solve being sad, being upset, being angry, being hurt. You don't have to solve it. At least not right now. That's not the goal here. The goal here is acknowledging it, feeling it, and safely working through it. And feeling okay about it. Because it is okay. We're all humans. This isn't the first time you're going to feel hurt or sad or mad. Or the last, unfortunately. So it's important to get to a space where you can acknowledge it and move through it. Okay. I know everything in the world with technology, everything is so fast paced now. So we're just trying to get through it and go, get through it and go, get through it and go. I mean, time itself is moving at such a rapid pace. But you don't have to rush through your emotions. Your emotional well-being, your mental health is your number one priority, because it all begins in your mind. And you must be, for lack of a better word, in a stable space mentally in order to kind of continue to navigate through life. I know me, for one, if I'm not mentally present, if there's a lot going on in my mind, if I'm flustered, if my mind is cloudy, then I don't always make the best decisions. And we want to do the best we can with the time we have on this earth. So I encourage you to safely and slowly hold space for your emotions. And once we conquer holding space for ourselves, it will be a much easier task to hold space for others as they're navigating their emotional experiences. A lot of times when people we love and trust us kind of present a difficult situation to us, when they want to vent, in a sense, and get something off their chest, our natural reaction is to want to speak. But I encourage you to resist the urge to give your opinion, feedback, and advice. And I'm not always the best at this. There are a lot of instances where I'm very good, very capable of holding space for other people and their emotions. And then there are times when I want to offer my opinion and I offer my advice. And that's not always what people are looking for. They want you to be present, non-judgmental, patient, and respectful. A month ago, give or take, I was with one of my sisters and she was discussing some things about her relationship. And I think my natural reaction was to give my advice because it's kind of like an ongoing thing, right? So I'm just offering my advice because she's my sister and I love her and I only want the best for her. And I want her to know that not only do I want the best for her, but I know she can do better. And we got into a disagreement. So a little while later, I just let her know, hey, I'm never gonna try to intentionally overstep and misspeak in regards to your relationship because it's not mine. And your life is not my life to live, right? So in the future, if she ever wants advice, let me know she wants advice. And then we can have that exchange for my advice and my feedback, right? My opinion. But otherwise, I'm just here to listen, to hold space for her and her emotions. Because maybe she's not looking for my advice, is what I came to realize. Maybe she's just looking to be heard. And when we offer our opinions, sometimes it can sort of devalue everything the person is going through. Whether consciously or unconsciously, if you don't validate their emotions and their feelings, then in turn you're devaluing it. And that may cause a person to feel even worse, to feel even lower, to not want to open up again. It's important not to try to fix or change or immediately resort to positivity. when someone's looking to be heard. And the one I'm most guilty of is resorting to positivity, because that's just, I'm always looking for the upside. Like, okay, yeah, you had a bad day, but what about the 100 other great days that you had, and the hundreds and hundreds and hundreds more great days you're going to have? Like, let's look forward to that. Let's not sulk in the negativity. Well, what if just for a moment they need to sulk and feel those emotions? And the minute you resort to positivity, it almost invalidates what they're feeling. Like, okay, I can't feel sad because in a sense I should always feel positive. It doesn't make them pessimistic. It simply makes them human. A human with human emotions, a human with human feelings. Don't take that from them. Be that friend, be that partner that holds space for them. Because again, the solution isn't always to feel better. Sometimes it's okay to not be okay, to not feel better right now in this moment. No, you don't want to trickle down the path of depression and just, ultimately feeling sorry for yourself for an extended period of time. But what if, for just right now, I want to feel sad. And I don't need you to try to make me or force me to feel better about what's going on or what has happened. Be compassionate. I was watching a video on YouTube and I don't remember what it's called. It's a guy, his name is Matt K. something. He was talking about, how would you like to be held when you're feeling the most uncertain of emotions? Do you want a quick fix, get over it kind of thing, right? And something that I think is super important is to, when we're feeling these deep emotions, is to acknowledge, like try to be more present in your body and to acknowledge in what places in your body are you feeling these emotions the most. So when I was in one of my therapy sessions and she asked me, when I'm feeling overwhelmed with grief, where do I feel it most in my body? Take notice there. So for me personally, I feel like I feel it most in the center of my chest. Almost like there's an empty space missing. Like there's a hole. Figuratively where my heart is. Well, we know the heart is more on the left side of the body. But figuratively where my heart is, I feel like there's a hole missing. Where my dad's love used to be. And so she told me to place my hand over my heart and to just breathe in and breathe out and just let whatever emotion that arises to flow through freely. So in addition to placing my hand over my heart and just focusing on my breath and letting whatever emotions arise flow through freely, another great way to practice holding space for yourself is through words of affirmation. Things like, I always want to hear what you have to say. And my personal favorite, everything's fine. Everything is always fine. Everything is always working out for me. It is safe to fall. The Lord my God is with me wherever I go. He will not leave me nor forsake me. And it's important to go through the process of holding space for yourself, because it teaches us how to fully be there for ourselves in a way where we can feel the power of our own companionship. It's a space where we can either begin to cultivate self-love or feed into it in a positive way. We must continuously hold love within ourselves because love is the highest vibration. And conquering that love within ourselves in the most genuine way only further helps us to extend love to others when they also need someone to hold space. And as you continue through this practice, you'll begin to see compassion and act on compassion in a totally different way. You'll learn what it's like to be better at feeling your emotions, and you'll begin to feel better because of it. And I'm no expert with this, I can guarantee. So before we go, if you are in a place, in a space where you're comfortable, I want you to do this exercise with me. Place your hand over your heart. Breathe in through your nose and out through your mouth. In through your nose. Out through your mouth. Continue to focus on your breathing and feel whatever emotions that may arise. No matter what that emotion is. There is no right or wrong feeling. At any time. It is safe to fall. You are safe in your own arms. Sit in this space for however long you may need to. Your emotions are valid, and your feelings are important. And when you feel necessary, when you feel comfortable, when you are ready, open your eyes. Let this be a reminder to hold space for yourself, to love yourself, and to show up for yourself every single day. My name is Kiana Brienne. This is the House of Trauma podcast. Don't forget to email me your advice questions to hausoftrauma@gmail.com. Always remember that I love you and I mean it. I'll see you next week.